Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I know we have some people from all over. Thank you guys for joining our session. Today, we're diving into Microsoft support, the different options you have, and how you can choose the best one. So we're going to really break that down for you guys. But first, I'm going to give everybody a minute just to get settled in, and then we'll get started shortly. In the meantime, say hello in the chat, let us know your name and where you're coming from, and let us know how satisfied you are with your current Microsoft support solution and your biggest challenge with support today. As for me, I'm Kanisha, and I'm tuning in from the Irvine Trusted Tech Team office. So I'm really excited for this. Let's go over some quick housekeeping notes first. So everybody's going to be camera off and mute on. We want to make sure we avoid any background noise and make sure we can hear our lovely speakers nice and clear. That said, we do really want to keep this webinar interactive, so we're going to leave some time for a live Q&A at the end of session. That's always been really popular. You guys get to talk directly with our experts. And feel free to submit your questions in the Q&A module as we go. This presentation is also going to be recorded, so we're going to send the recording in an email to everybody after. You can expect that within around 2 business days. Lastly, yeah, we've got a really exciting one-time offer for webinar registrants, so I'm really excited to get to that at the very end. We were working really closely with everybody here at Trusted Tech Team to make sure we've got something really good for you guys. So yeah, stay tuned for that. So let's jump into our agenda for today. We're going to start by opening up with a brief history of Microsoft support. What is it? How has that evolved into what it is today? And then we're going to next move into how you can compare different support solutions like your MSPs and CSPs, etc. And then we're going to finish with how to find the best support option for you, because we know that it's never one size fits all. So, how can you kind of figure out what works for your org and what you need and what you don't need? But enough from me. I want to get to the actual experts on this. So let me kick it off by introducing our esteemed panel. First off, we've got Will Whaley, Cloud Support Manager. We have John Ho, Lead Account Manager. And then we have Nicholas Wallace, Technical Sales Manager. So I'm going to pass it on to Nico just to give a little bit of a background on his experience, and then we can kick it off. Nico?
Yeah, thank you, Kanisha. So my name is Nicholas Wallace. I am the technical sales manager here at Trusted Tech. And I'm joined here by Will and John, my sword and my shield for anything support. I have a wide array of being in cloud infrastructure for about 12 years, and I come from an MSP background. So I know very much how to run a support team and what are the ins and outs. And then I'll kind of pass off to Will to kind of introduce himself and then explain what he does here as well.
Thank you for that. My name is Will Whaley. I'm the Cloud Support Manager here at Trusted Tech Team. I've been in the SaaS space my entire IT career across production systems, business analytics, and now cloud support. And I really like the emphasis that Trusted Tech Team places on its support and services every single day. So it's been a thrilling 3-year journey here at Trusted Tech Team, and excited to tell you all about our options today. John, would you like to take over?
Yes, sir, I would. Hi, I'm John Ho. I'm one of the lead account managers here at Trusted Tech Team. I've started off in the hardware space, eventually moved into software, especially with the focus on Microsoft, and have been with the company for about 3 years here. So I have seen, how we've really developed support and changed over time, and it really is awesome. We're excited to really share this today. So let's dive right into the history and starting off from the basis of Microsoft support.
Of course. Well, we wanted to talk about this just to give you a little bit of background and perspective of how we got here, how Microsoft's offerings have changed over the years, and where that leaves us today. So we're going to take it back to 2017, where most of Microsoft support was run through a program called Premier Support. Now, Premier Support was an offering that could be directly purchased by an end customer and had a lot of a la carte options, had a lot of scalability, and had a lot of customization that could be used. Around that time, Microsoft also rolled out Premier Support for partners, which Trusted Tech Team still uses as its primary offering for partners to be able to enhance that support experience and also give customers an extra array of services that they might not be able to get from Microsoft directly. Later on, Microsoft decided that it was going to phase out Premier Support for those direct customers and replace it with Unified. And with this alignment further on Unified, they decided to make a little bit more of a cloud focus, but also take away some of the capabilities that Premier Support in the direct form had for customers. Nowadays, only Premier support for partners is able to be attained, again, through a partner like Trusted Tech Team, because all of the Premier contracts that were directly with customers have been replaced by these unified deals, which again are tailored for very large organizations. They have an entire unified enterprise experience that was launched here in 2020. Again, great utilization, great needs for these high-touch services that become central for large organizations, these mission-critical needs. But again, there's no real a la carte option with Unified. And in 2023, Microsoft has decided to put some of the responsibilities of its unified support on some AI tools, which are a little bit experimental in nature, but we've seen that shift going from the human element over to these AI tools that it has tried to roll out with some mixed effectiveness, some positives, but also some negatives too, as these tools are optimized. And we'd love to talk about, not just the timeline, but what that might mean for Microsoft Unified support today. Now, we find here that the unified support experience has a couple of drawbacks. One of them is the pricing is going to be based on your Microsoft spend, and that's going to be your M365 licensing spend, your Azure spend, and your on-prem server licensing spend. So Unified actually charges you a fixed percentage of your total spend across all three of those stacks, not according to your actual utilization of support. So if you have a rock solid Microsoft team internally, if you know what you're doing, then even still, if you're on a unified deal, you're still going to pay that license, a percentage fee for your expenditure. Again, there are price floors too with unified deals. So if you are not at least at the $50,000 for support annual spend, they will get you to that $50,000 level. Now, they also restricted to just the 500 plus licensed users. Again, the EA model, that's what Microsoft has publicly and privately admitted that they are going to focus on in their support models. All the rest, they entrust to partners like Trusted Tech Team to provide some of the SMB coverage there. Now, we again find that these unified deals are usually overpackaged. So you're going to find everything and then some with these unified deals. Some services you may not even have heard of, you may not need, but you're going to be paying for them. And you're going to be paying for them as part of that fixed percentage of your overall spend. They're going to be things that in niche circumstances, maybe once a year, you could find some utilization for them if you are in that particular industry. But again, many of these services can be bought on an a la carte basis through a partner like Trusted Tech Team.
I mean, let's break down into that just a little bit in terms of the overpackage. So like, today, currently what's happening in the market is we're seeing Microsoft, raise this bottom line in terms of having a fixed percentage fee for any kind of licensing you're consuming, and that really is a detriment to the SMB market, right? Where we're really trying to understand like what type of services is Microsoft providing in those packages, and like what have you seen with those kind of over engrossed unified packages, like what access to what teams.
Well, I'll give you a specific example, actually. Microsoft has two teams for intense security deep dives. One's called the CERT team, which we have access to through our Premier Support for Partners agreements. And they're very good for these RCAs or investigations of active incidents. Now, they also have a slightly enhanced version of that team, which is only available in these unified packages called the DART team. Now, the DART team is subject to an additional fee. Now, if you were to guess what it would be to talk to a specialized team of cybersecurity experts on top of the $50,000 minimum that you've already paid, what would you say it might cost upfront?
I mean, you're looking at like a specialized security team around cloud infrastructure. You're looking anywhere between, like, I would say 25 grand to like 50 grand a year.
50,000 upfront cost for the first incident to start the relationship. After that, $600 an hour with a minimum of 120 hours billed.
Wow.
And that's for the first incident.
So it is truly tailored to the enterprise level.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
That is an impressive number. But I mean, yeah, exactly why, coming to Trusted Tech Team, this is why, we had to develop our service offering. So it's super, super important. So, talking about partnerships and where we're coming in, John, how do partners maintain, our service offering? What do we offer? And what does that mean for all of our partners here on the show today?
Yeah, I do appreciate you guys really, giving the context behind of why we really have stepped up our support game here. And what does it mean for partners as us, right? That is the big question. In the last 5 years, we have noticed that there's been a pretty significant shift in how Microsoft really approaches support, right? As many of you may have heard on the news recently, they did lay off about 3% of their workforce across the board. And a lot of these individuals are, primarily in the support and the engineering departments, right? So this is kind of the shift that we've been seeing on Microsoft's side, not just this year, but also in 2024, early in January, also towards the end of 2023. It's just really been constantly, revolving when it comes to Microsoft, right? So this pattern of Microsoft really pushing their support responsibilities and infrastructure to the partner network, both direct and indirect, is something that we've noticed and we picked up on, right? And something that we really need to step up. So as a result, a lot of these partners are responsible now for taking on that support mantle, right? Being the face of support for Microsoft, enhancing their support offerings in many different ways to provide that value to the customer that Microsoft may not be able to or don't want to anymore, right? So the question really here is, how do different partners approach support, right? Let's break that down a little bit, because I know that there are many different ways to get support from Microsoft, but let's kind of look into it a little bit more about what's the difference between Trusted Tech and other support partners.
Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely. We've got a little slide for you here to just get some of the support option terminology all clear at the beginning, and then we'll go into some comparisons. So we're going to start here talking about Trusted Tech Team as a support option. Obviously, we are a Microsoft certified CSP and a support partner. We have an entirely Microsoft certified team on the support and services side. We have escalation rights to escalate things directly to Microsoft if they're not within the capabilities or there's something that Microsoft keeps restricted. And we have the in-house resolution commitment, plus the proactive services that, again, you can purchase in an a la carte. You can evaluate, is it right for your organization? Is it something that's within your budget, within your year-over-year planning? We don't fall into any of the common pitfalls. We're, again, built around resolution, built around support quality, not red tape, and not ignoring the needs of our customers. To talk about a non-partner alternative, which is another alternative that you can look for, it's basically a third-party support firm that has no relationship with Microsoft, not endorsed in any way. Sometimes these organizations will say they're better or different or just an alternative to partners. And they'll try to attract you with something that sounds cheap up front, but you realize what you're actually getting once you get into that experience. And that is no access to Microsoft intellectual property, no escalation path at all directly to Microsoft, and no formal SLAs. So you may get response targets, but you are not going to get any level of service level agreement. Beyond that, we talk about Microsoft Unified, which again would be the direct support option from Microsoft, which we've been talking a little bit about the history of. Again, that may be appropriate for very large organizations who like that deep integration, who are interested in some of those AI tools. But again, it's going to be an expensive percentage of your overall spend, generally limited to 500 plus seats or licensed users, and it's going to rely heavily on offshore support, of which many were affected by the recent Microsoft layoffs. Beyond that, you have your traditional MSP model, which is kind of a general IT provider that's going to manage a full stack as part of that managed service. And while they may bring a broad experience, it can be a little bit general and non-Microsoft specific. Here at Trusted Tech Team, we are a Microsoft shop through and through. That is what we think about for most of our days. And again, these MSPs are going to have a little bit of a limited cloud knowledge and generally make their margin when they don't interact with their customers because, again, support is not the priority for them. And finally, with other CSPs, these are going to be licensed resellers with a minimal support option. They will do your license provisioning and probably a little bit of billing too. But again, their support is not going to be a priority. It's going to be an outsourced tier one, a little bit transactional in nature, and again, not have that emphasis on Microsoft's expertise and experience. And we see these 4 or 5 options. We'll go into comparisons in just a moment here, but just to make sure we're all on the same page, these are the alternatives that you have when evaluating what your support needs are. So to take that a little bit further into comparing Trusted Tech Team versus a non-partner alternative, one of the downsides that you are immediately going to think is without this relationship that this non-partnered alternative is going to have with Microsoft, they are not going to be able to take these tickets anywhere. So essentially, when a ticket can't get resolved in-house, it can't get resolved, closed, unresolved, essentially. Now, they might try to play a little bit of a shuffle game and act like they're moving a ticket around to other entities to have a look. But again, it all has to be resolved by them because they have that lack of relationship. There's also limited accountability there, whereas we are regularly looked at by Microsoft to make sure that we keep our standards up, both for the support, for the licensing, and for everything else that we sell through them, that we partner with them for. So we are subject to a level of scrutiny with Microsoft that some of these non-partnered alternatives just are not. And again, it may appear to be cheaper upfront. A lot of people have a really attractive offer from the onset, but you again realize what you're getting once you work with this totally external entity that has no relationship with Microsoft.
I mean, let's also break down into this just a tad bit more. Like what we've seen in the market with like non-partner alternatives, like they have this kind of rocky foundation with Microsoft. Haven't like developed the partnership in like in terms of difference of how we, we're almost incentivized, or I would say we are incentivized by Microsoft to provide support. And we have to maintain those checks and balances. So every year we go through an audit. Microsoft comes in, audits us as a partner. They make sure we have licensed and certified staff that's not just trained or generalist or any type of offshore capacity of support engineers, right? So, you really do, and one of the common comparisons is when we talk to people coming off Unified who partner with us, they're scared to lose that direct access to Microsoft. So when you're looking at us versus like a non-partner alternative, like a third-party support, you're still retaining that partnership with Microsoft. You're still getting those incentives through us, and then you're also not losing any type of formal traditional access that you would get through like you typically would through Microsoft Direct Support or a unified agreement. So kind of getting into the next slide, like let's talk about Unified. Let's really break down why Unified is good for some, but not perfect for everybody.
Of course, if you're a very large organization and you rely on Unified, maybe it could be the right path for you, but I'd encourage you to look at your alternatives. Again, Unified is going to kind of keep you in that one size fits all locked contract where they're going to do a percentage of your Microsoft spend, which will conveniently go up every year. It's going to be something that's full of red tape, and these contracted engineers, generally speaking, third-party, non-domestic alternatives that really aren't graded on their efficiency to resolve tickets, more so to close tickets and push tickets through. So that's why we will see a lot of these closed without a resolution, or just closed due to a single missed response, or just quietly closed and you may not know at all. We have seen these with some Microsoft Unified engineers. After that, we do realize that Microsoft does not enforce any formal SLAs. Microsoft used the term targets to try to apply to your standard critical and informational scenarios, but they do not put themselves to any penalties or subject to any conditions if they do not meet these SLAs. So if you've ever filed a Microsoft ticket and you see an immediate first reply that was auto-generated, technically, according to Microsoft, that is them meeting their SLA for first response again, and that's not even a real person that's reaching out to you. On our side, we enforce these SLAs. We have an average response time of about 10 minutes, and we very firmly believe in resolution over just closing tickets.
Yeah.
Finally, for ticket resolution, 85% of our tickets are going to be resolved in-house based on 2024 numbers. And again, Microsoft Unified is going to be offshore to third-party vendors. Usually it's about the third level of escalation before you can get a full-time engineer, but it's all up to Microsoft whether they decide to assign that full-time engineer or not. Usually it's going to be a lot of contractors.
Yeah.
And these over-packaged, bundles, these advisory services can be purchased a la carte. Some of these assessments can be purchased a la carte. These do not need to come from a unified deal, even though Microsoft may kind of make it feel like that when they present these large overstuffed packages. So that lack of flexibility is really why Trusted Tech Team sought to create something better.
Mhm.
And we're really excited to talk to you about the differences in the way that we do support. So continuing on a little bit from Unified, what are some of our other alternatives here? You've obviously got the traditional MSP route, and we all know MSPs in the IT space. They're going to manage a full IT stack, but not really have the specialization for your Microsoft needs. So again, they're going to make their margin when they don't interact with you and not really strive for any positive support results that lead to better, more meaningful engagements down the line with a support or services team. This general approach can lead to misconfigurations or delays or unintended consequences from misinterpreted directives. This lack of ability to resolve complex issues in-house can leave a lot of people frustrated, as in I hear this all the time from customers. What am I paying my MSP for? We brought it to you and you resolved it. Then I have to tell them to work out with their MSP, but it is great when we hear the feedback that we're able to resolve their scenario. Rarely is it about true enablement with these MSPs. It's not going to be a knowledge transfer. They're not trying to skill your team up. When we on our side are actively trying to make your team better so that you can resolve something without even having to worry about how it happens along the way. But again, if you do run into questions, you always have Trusted Tech Team support operations there for you. So we see the difference between this tiered scenario that Trusted Tech Team offers. We'll get into tiers in just a moment, and you'll find out everything that you can need for your specific scenario versus this one-size-fits-all MSP model. Again, you might be the round peg and the square hole. The MSP just might not work for you. Again, our dedicated Microsoft team is here to help you out. They hold certifications so that you know that their particular expertises are vetted, not just in a we've got a generalist, they'll take a look at it, stretched across many clients approach that you might see from an MSP. Our focus area is and has always been Microsoft certified cloud expertise versus MSPs can be across a bunch of broad IT stacks, hardware, network, security, everything else, multi-cloud. And finally, the escalation path directly to Microsoft engineers if necessary. And if an MSP has an escalation path at all, it may be indirectly or to some kind of a third party. And then you're dealing with third party vendors that you don't know, maybe they don't even know, and it's just hard to even hold anybody accountable at that point. So we really find that this MSP model doesn't do a lot for the people that are expecting more than just the feeling that someone's there. But it's just, it's a falsehood. And finally, to compare us to some other CSPs, the other CSPs are going to have some minimal experience and rely heavily on those escalations. That's actually something that Microsoft has been attempting to rein in, trying to keep other CSPs from just passing everything through to Microsoft, because some of them, just essentially think that it is not their obligation to support customers. And we don't believe that. We also stay in accordance with Microsoft's policies, resolving everything that we can in-house and making sure that we keep those escalations meaningful and purposeful with Microsoft. On top of that, these other CSPs are going to take the easy way out. Cheap outsourcing of support tickets for general offshore help desk requests. They can fall into kind of this reactive and stretch thin style, again, similar to those MSPs, or they can just be a big box shop, transactional, charge up front, and really no resolution, again, in that no accountability, because it's not a partner in that instance. You're just at the big box store buying some support and hoping it's what it's advertised to be. Again, the included support with Trusted Tech Team is going to break, fix, strategic, and proactive, again, with those direct escalations if needed. Other CSPs may be just a basic tier 1, and anything beyond that they'll say is out of scope. Beyond that, the expertise level is completely different. Again, going to be a lot of low-cost resources wherever they come from, trying not to interact with you. And finally, that support model, in our instance, is going to be outcome-based with that emphasis on skilling up your team. And again, in other CSPs, it's going to be ticket-based. You file a ticket, and they're going to do everything they can to close it out and really not interact with it once it is closed. Again, we find this model is not right, and that's why we decided to build something better.
Yeah, and kind of going off in tandem with your support, the technical break fix, advisory, etc. One of the things that Trusted Tech Team does that kind of stays ahead of the game here is really provide you with the value of having a dedicated account manager, such as myself, tied to your account, right? We here are all about relationship. We want to make sure that our customers are taken care of. You guys have constant touch points. You guys have the ability to reach out to someone on our side, no matter if it's support or if it's account manager such as myself. And as the account manager serves as basically a Microsoft expert to really help you guide you guys in the right direction, to get you to the right resources here, whether you have licensing questions, you guys have upcoming projects or any of those kind of scopes in that matter, right? So we want to be sure we're there constantly throughout the entire way, and you guys are not left alone in any aspect, right?
Yeah, I mean, even coming from an MSP, we're not here to replace or I think that's a common misconception. And I think a lot of fear and doubt comes from that is like when MSPs come into environments, you're fearful for your position. You're fearful like, okay, this organization is going to come in and kind of replace my entire IT team. at Trusted Tech Team, we don't want to facilitate that. We want to enable and augment staff members. We want to do transfers. It's not in your guys's, I would say wheelhouse to understand everything Microsoft or Azure related. And we want to make sure that we're handing off that documentation. We're showing you, we're showing you everything that needs to be done from a Microsoft perspective, how to be proactive about it, and then how to just reduce costs across the board, increase valuation, and then just do a good document transfer and knowledge handoff. And that's everything that we kind of provide from a proactive and reactive certified support standard.
Yeah, and I do appreciate you guys for really breaking down the differences with other support providers as well. So now that we have a better understanding of how, kind of Trusted Tech Team stacks up with other support providers, what is our solution that ensures you guys are getting the best support tailored to your Microsoft environment, right? So that's kind of where our certified support services come in. We launched CSS in 2023 because we understand that there is a glaring need for our customers to essentially get efficient and quality support that they may not find with other providers or with even Microsoft's unified support, right? So basically, a lot of what we do here addresses those inefficiencies that our customers come to us for. So we are very open to listening to anything that you guys suggest us. We want to make sure that we're active to change over time, right? So some of the things that we want to highlight is that we've seen people complain about slow response times or maybe even overall response times, right? Want to make sure that you have someone constantly on that ticket. If it's emergency, we want to be there for you guys. Also talking about in-house engineering expertise, right? Maybe there's times where I'm sure you've seen this before too, Will. There's times where people have no idea what they're talking about, right? And they want to get to someone who can get straight to the point, help them adjust, and help them fix their issues on the fly, right? So that's kind of the expertise that we do offer in-house. And then also the last piece of that is the efficient escalations with Microsoft when needed, right? So yes, there are some times where might need to escalate a ticket because it might be a completely technical issue, developer issue on Microsoft's side. But when you escalate those tickets, going Microsoft directly, you might find some tickets kind of sitting there for a few weeks, maybe in a few months, God forbid. So
it does happen.
It does happen. And that's, where we want to step in and really prevent that, right? Having an engineer on that ticket the whole time, communicating, making sure that is pushed through is very important to us.
And if I may unpack that just a little bit, I think one of the most important benefits that Trusted Tech Team support provides that doesn't really make the advertising materials that you see every day is that customer advocacy, is the fact that we are not going to leave you alone with Microsoft support pleading for your issue to be addressed. And it can be difficult sometimes with as big as an ecosystem as Microsoft support is to hold Microsoft accountable, to find an engineer that's skilled, to escalate that ticket if it's not getting the attention or the prioritization it needs. And my team gets coached on this all the time. It is a number of there are a number of reasons why we get to this state with Microsoft support, but ultimately it means that you need an advocate on your side. So my team is used to these types of interactions they deal with Microsoft support every day, every week, every month, every year. We know what good support looks like, and we know what support doesn't look like when it's good. And at the same time, having that advocate to press for a response, to call a number that you may not have access to reach out to a resource that you would not normally have access to, whether it be a CSAM or a partner technical advisor or a direct escalation path or a full-time engineer or another engineer that's been useful in that type of a case before. It is something that enhances your Microsoft support experience. And if something's not right, that's where you have the ability to have us advocate on your behalf. Because again, we know what Microsoft tends to do. We file enough tickets to see the patterns and again, see when a ticket doesn't seem to be getting picked up, there's something wrong there. And we can jump right into it with whatever resource needs to be involved. And for that reason, even if we are working with Microsoft support, we're going to push for the fastest resolution possible. If it's with our team, we're going to do the same thing because we want to get you on your way back working again, using the licenses to be as productive as possible. But we're not going to let you just struggle it out, advocate only by yourself and feel alone. So that benefit is just one that's near and dear to my heart specifically. And I think it provides a lot of value too, even if you are frustrated with Microsoft support along the way. And I think that's a good transition here. We do have a second. John, would you like to explain a little bit about some of these offerings that we have?
Sure, we definitely go into that there, and just want to provide some brief overview of kind of our support services, right? So at the base level, we want to make sure everyone's taken care of. You got foundational account support, that's for licensing questions, overall account health. You have an account manager dedicated as a resource to each of your guys' environments here. And then if you see looking into our, standard packages up, right, you'll see the efficiency and expertise there is behind the benefits of our support. So each of these packages represents the level of engagement that you would like with our support team, right? Want to make sure that it's tailored specifically to you, and what you need is what you use. So I do want to kick it over to Nick to kind of talk a little bit more about starting with the enterprise tier.
Oh yeah, I mean, at the enterprise tier, so if you look at the very bottom of the package of the very top end tier, this is what we consider the closest thing we can offer to a compared unified agreement, right? You look at the subject line, dedicated cloud engineer. Imagine this is I would say, very reminiscent or very close to what Microsoft offers for dedicated cloud engineer. So I believe theirs is called DCSE. So it's essentially a dedicated technical engineer or architect to your account in different specialties. So there's a pod of these folks that have specialties within security, within cloud security, within cloud infrastructure, modern work, as well as AI. So you get access to that pod that understands your environment truly at a top down. So they'll work with your stakeholders, they'll be able to put hands on keyboard, they'll make slight configuration changes. It's really truly a custom engagement where you have this white glove service of an individual really understanding what the need is in terms of where you are at in your Microsoft journey and what you need to adopt and start leveraging. And then from there, we can move down into Microsoft Solution Assessment. These are handcrafted assessments. They roughly aim around 30 to 50 pages long. We don't use any tooling. We don't scrape the advisory boards from Azure or any type of advisory boards from Microsoft 365 Admin Center. These are all custom engagement with custom recommendations. Pretty much how this engagement goes is you get assigned an engineer and architect. So essentially, this person is going to get reader access to your tenant. They're going to skim through and pretty much highlight everything you have configured with inside your tenant, make recommendations on how you would change that and how you would adopt it properly if there are any changes that need to be made. And they're going to document that all on this, this 50-page long document. And once they're done with their presentation, they'll essentially go into a 1 hour and a half, maybe an hour and a half long meeting with you, walk you through the assessment, make sure that you're aware of the critical changes that need to be made. So in terms of security, or if there needs to be some policy change, maybe you have your Entra is not set up correctly, maybe you have an Intune policy that's conflicting, or an app's not deploying correctly. They're going to highlight these changes for you so you can take action, or you can leverage any one of our services to get that project done or that task done, right? On the third line up, we have professional services. This is a white glove service implementation. So this is your integrations team. So how this differentiates from like something like a DCE, essentially these guys are specialized into building in greenfield environments. So essentially, if you have an established Entra, you have an established Intune, maybe you're standing up some Azure infrastructure, this is where this team is going to come in. They're going to build out that infrastructure for you. They're going to set it up to best practice. They're going to make sure that we're following Microsoft documentation, and then they're going to hand that off to our internal support teams. They're going to document everything, process in-house, so that when you do submit a support team to Will's team, they know how to resolve tickets. They know how your infrastructure is currently set up, what products you're leveraging. So it's an ecosystem. All three departments talk to each other, and they're really collaborative with each other. So at some point in time, this started to look like a unified and like a joint experience for the customer. We really understand your Microsoft journey from the start to finish. So all the way down from moving you into Microsoft, say you're coming off of Google Workspace, down to providing you retainers to help you with your proactive maintenance, policy adjustments, down to assessing that environment, really understanding how you're going to change and adapt as you grow as an organization, down to more professional services to do any type of AI, modern work, digital innovation, any type of modernizations that we are looking to pretty much consolidate into the cloud going forward. So these are the types of proactive, engagements you would get through our enterprise and commercial tiers. You see, commercial is just a, boiled down version of that. You'll get 20 hours of professional services and a solution assessment as well. You don't get dedicated cloud engineer out the box with a commercial tier, but I think that is a nice middle ground for a lot of medium-sized businesses to kind of lean into and really understand, where you're at with your Microsoft journey. And then from there, it's really just a custom engagement and how much you want to engage with us in terms of, your general IT stack and how much you want to consolidate to Microsoft. But even outside of Microsoft, we do partner with a bunch of other third parties, and we have knowledge. Most of the team does come from like an MSP background. So we do have knowledge on traditional solutions and IT infrastructure. So if you just want to leverage us, ask us what the Microsoft equivalent would be, and just kind of get some general consulting. We're definitely skilled and scoped to do that. So that's where I would love for you guys to leverage our teams. Definitely come get a consultation. If you are, coming off a unified agreement or have a unified agreement, send us what you have in terms of ticket workloads, what your proactive packages look like, and we can custom build these packages to spec. So they're extremely flexible. But it's after that, I mean, Will, if you want to talk a little bit about consulting sessions and how those differentiate, I would love for them to hear that as well.
So we often talk about cases or tickets as if they are all break fix, but really that's an extremely limited view of what our teams can provide for you. And that's why we created consulting sessions, because maybe you are evaluating a new service. You haven't rolled it out yet, but you have some questions. You'd like to scope out a deployment before you dive into it, or you just want to enhance your own knowledge with something that will kickstart your research a little bit faster. That's where these consulting sessions can come into play. And whether it's something that's theoretical, whether it's something that's in flight or something that's already established, our engineers can take a look with you and work on these consulting sessions, regardless of whether something is considered a break fix or not. And that's some of the shortcoming that we see with Unified and with some of these other support alternatives, that they really only want to see something that's broken and get it to a fixed state. So if there is an error message, they'll take a look at it. But if there isn't and you just have questions, they really won't have that tailored approach to you. It's not that way at all with Trusted Tech Team. With our certified support services tiers, with our standard commercial and enterprise tier, you're going to be looking at these consulting sessions, generally speaking, working with an engineer who has worked with that technology extensively before. We're going to assign it to an SME, someone who knows what they're talking about before they get into the call with you and has scoped out from whatever you've provided the use case and best optimization, both in terms of efficiency and in terms of pricing, of what you can expect if implementing that Microsoft technology. In addition to these consulting sessions for these cloud products, we know some of you have some high on-premise and severity A needs. And luckily with our commercial and enterprise tiers, we already have allowances for that so that we can get those going. We can get those high severity, high maintenance, high attention situations handled. You can get extra access to the combined power of TTT's resources and some of the PSFP resources that we have access to, and make sure that your entire stack is taken care of, even if it doesn't fall into that cloud and hybrid emphasis that Microsoft's going to place. We're going to have those carve outs ready to go for you so that you know that your entire tech stack is protected. So in addition to just break fix, which we talked about, in addition to the dedicated that you can look into if you want that additional expert that knows your environment specifically, in addition to the assessment that you can get, in addition to the professional services and project work that you can get, we have an entire stack here across your support and consulting needs, in addition to all the other benefits that you see above. So it really is something that we've established to make sure it's a comparable offering. And after that point, provide a robust enterprise level professional experience for your support and services needs.
Well, I mean, I think we could talk about our support all day long, but I would really love for the folks on the call to, hear it from, from one of our customers or one of our clients that we partner with heavily. So Sensky, is a Blackstone portfolio company. They specialize in lawn and garden care services. They started with roughly about 200 users before their first M&A, and then have grown to close to 1,500 employees. And they're based out in Washington. So Mike, pleasure to have you on. Would love to hear about how you got introduced to us and, talk about our awesome relationship.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me, guys. I came into Sensky through the private equity firm with the executive team that I've been working with for quite a long time. And I was tasked with building a national IT department. When we bought Sensky, there was a few hundred employees, one IT guy, and we're growing very quickly by M&A. So we needed a foundation to build upon. So I was evaluating our Microsoft platform that we had and shopping our current CSP against others, and quickly found that I wasn't really getting the support I needed. The private equity firm, GDCR and the Blackstone companies suggested that we look at Trusted Tech as part of that vendor search. And after talking with the guys, we came to a really, really great partnership kind of agreement where they would help us stand up our Intune environment, get off our old legacy licensing, and really develop a platform for us to grow on as we scale across the country, the US and Canada.
Yeah, I mean that was a fun project, fun like couple projects for us actually. It was I think like 2 years ago we've been in partnership, and we started out with one of their first like Google to Workspace migrations to M365, and then from there we stood up Intune, and it just became very seamless in their environment. But how has like the partnership evolved since then? What has the service delivery been like? What kind of services are you leveraging? Things of that nature.
So we subscribe to the white glove level service. So Trusted Tech has really put together a very custom package for us in terms of support. We have a bucket of engineering hours that we use to help onboard mergers and acquisitions. We've done, honestly, Nico, how many email migrations have we done at this point? We've done so many, I don't even remember.
We've done, I think like close to 10. I think
Yeah.
10, like it's at least 5 a year at this point.
Yeah, so we've gotten into quite a routine with Trusted Tech in terms of our local team here at our branches really has a really great one-on-one working relationship with our core engineering team. We always have the same engineers, which is helpful because they know us, we know them, they know our tenant, they know how we like to work, and we've really gotten into lockstep with Trusted Tech and the engineering team, and even the sales team when it comes to needing additional features in our tenant. To be efficient, onboarding new acquisitions, and kind of keeping the ball rolling for the business as a whole.
Yeah. I mean, what traditional challenges did you face when it came to before, I would say not before you met us, but before we got into that true white glove service or the enterprise level tiers? What challenges were your IT teams facing?
Well, we didn't have in-house engineers, right? So we didn't have frankly, when we came into Sensky, MFA wasn't even enabled in the Microsoft tenant. We weren't using Intune. We weren't using any of the new, secure, safe aspects of that Microsoft offers, and we really needed to get into 2024, 2025 with a stronger security posture and a unified experience for our employees. That way, we could continue to grow the business. And you guys have been incredibly helpful in getting us there. Both at speed, in terms of speed and expertise.
Yeah. And then last question. What would you say is your favorite part of the relationship? Why did you choose to, continue to work with us even after you've been built and, everything is kind of stood up with automation, everything kind of just clicks with inside your environment. What made you choose to continue to deepen the relationship?
I'm sorry if this is corny. But I trust you guys at this point. Like, I mean, it's in the name, but it really is. Like, we've built a really strong relationship over the last 2.5 years. I mean, Nico, I don't call you very often anymore, but if something bad is going on, I call Nico and he rallies the team to help. And they've proven repeatedly that they are worthy of the name Trusted Tech. Like, we trust you guys. We have a friendship, we have a business relationship, and it's been very, very repeatedly effective.
Yeah. I mean, I try to do this with every single one of my partners is just try to be as focal as possible, just, want to provide that top level service. It's kind of built into our nature. And I think everyone here kind of echoes that same mentality is just to like, reach out to us, talk to us. We're not just, this partners that provide really good licensing prices. We're actually partners that provide true quality service. Like you heard it from Mike. We just want to honor that. We're really here to put in the work and just kind of show our cards and just kind of help you guys adopt and overcome challenges. That's everyone here is dedicated to that. So, but thank you so much, Mike. It was a pleasure having you on. I look forward to chatting with you afterwards. And yeah,
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Have a great day.
of course, have an amazing day. Alrighty. So I think we're kind of getting to the close here. We would love to pretty much extend our offer out to anyone who's attended the webinar and really wants to get interested in our packages and come talk to either myself or come talk to John or whoever your account manager may be. If you choose to sign up for a standard tier package today and you've attended the webinar, you will get you can choose the choice between either 2 additional consulting sessions that Will mentioned earlier, or if you're looking at like a integration or you're looking at maybe you want to develop Intune or do a migration, you could do 5 additional hours of professional services. This is the hands-on keyboard project implementation team. If you look at doing, and that's within the standard tier, if you look at doing a commercial or enterprise tier, you will get 10 additional hours of professional services for the first year only. So these are extremely valuable resources. They're all insured, domestic-based resources, white glove service. So every single package is kind of getting a kind of CTA for all of you guys to kind of leverage. So we want you guys to come talk to us, sign up for a package, even come demo us. We do trials, so talk to your account managers, talk to a rep about getting a trial on, and we kind of want our actions to speak louder than our words.
Amazing. That was great. Thank you guys for sharing your expertise on Microsoft support. If you guys are interested in that offer, you can click that link on the screen right now on the left. And if you guys are interested in our next webinar, that'll be coming up on the 17th of June, and that'll be surrounding Intune. It's a perfect segue from what Mike was talking about. I also want to shout out Shannon and John. Thank you guys for the love in the chat. We love working with you guys. That's really exciting for us to see you guys engage with us. So thank you guys so much. All right. Now, my favorite part, we would love to open the floor for some questions. So if you guys haven't yet, please, put them in the Q&A. Let us know if you have anything that you want to chat about. We did get a question from Bill. So Bill asks, would I have to purchase my Microsoft licensing through Trusted Tech Team in order to engage in your Microsoft support services?
The answer to that is no. We can actually provide support for your organization, even if it's not getting those Microsoft licenses through TTT. It's just something we'd have to set up a little bit of access into your tenant for just to make sure that we can help you when you reach out to us. But we absolutely do have existing customers that use us for support, but cannot move over the licensing for various reasons. And they find great value in the extra support that our engineers can provide. So no, you don't necessarily have to have the licenses with us to interact with our support team.
Mm-hmm. And the same goes with professional services or Intune or Azure services, anything like that. You do not have to procure licensing from us. All of these features are standalone. So if you wanted to come do a one-off project, say maybe you're stuck in a term for your licensing, you can still do project adoptions, things that we can still get really involved together. So that's how we're just a little different from the other CSPs too.
Yeah, one thing that would be always nice is, when you feel comfortable with our support services, professional services, we always want to help you guys save on the licensing side as well. So, say if you're stuck in a term's over, moving over license for us gives us a better idea of what your environment looks like, allows us to support you guys a little bit better and in all ways. But yeah, that's a great question there, Bill.
Sorry, I was muted. Another question that I see a lot is sometimes people are asking, how can IT leaders evaluate whether their current support provider is truly meeting their needs? Do you guys have any tips for that? Anything you guys have seen?
Yeah, I would always recommend you challenge your current providers. I have worked out countless MSPs where they are consistently undershooting what they should be doing as a provider. So they're, not truly meeting SLAs. No one is keeping them accountable. Most of the times, the MSPs make it really seamless for you to onboard. They take over the stack. They start, they do a lot of things up front, and at which point, then no one ever hears and does the quarterly reviews to monitor their SLAs. Are they patching your servers? Are they doing what they need to do? And then also, what proactive things are they doing? Are they actually going in and staying on top of their game in terms of being a Microsoft partner or even a technology partner, right? It's very often that I encounter customers that come from an MSP that don't even have the basics of Entra and Intune set up, or they haven't even talked about it yet. This is typically where MSPs, their pitfalls is like they're really great with the onboarding, their technology stacks on point, but they since they're so vast and they're so general, they usually fall behind in terms of the curve in terms of adoption when it comes to Microsoft products or modernization efforts. So if you're looking like you've been in traditional infrastructure for a really long time, I would highly start looking at like, why am I still spinning up servers on-prem? Why am I still using outdated legacy tech? And why I haven't pivoted to a hybrid solution or a full cloud solution here. And it being 2025, we've had cloud since 2016. It's been 10 years since like a true formal adoption of cloud. So definitely the conversation should have come up once or twice, but I'll let Will talk about his experience too.
I would add to that, in this process of evaluating, your current provider or your MSP, I would ask them if you can for some scoping documentation of what they say they cover and what they do not cover. And I would evaluate that list alongside the alternatives that you've had to set up to make up for some of those shortcomings. And if it is truly that you find that scoping documentation is extremely limited, well, then they're really not there to help you. They're there to appear that they're going to help you. Now, if you find the alternative is true and you find this massive in-scope document that apparently entitles you to things that your MSP has not been doing for you, and you in turn have had to hire people or have had to introduce new tech stacks yourself because it just isn't coming from the MSP side, well, then they're going to promise a lot and just not deliver on any of it. So I would encourage you to evaluate what they say their capabilities truly are versus your experience. So it's something that we find many IT leaders are going to be busy people. They're going to look for a solution that can work in enough time to get it delivered to their internal stakeholders. But it doesn't mean that we have to use these solutions that leave a lot to be desired. So if your MSP is not meeting your needs, whether that be scoped out or just out of their scope entirely, I would encourage you to challenge them on that and look for alternatives.
Yeah, and to really add to that, I mean, at least on the account management side, right? We are all about cloud adoption with this focus on Microsoft, and we want to make sure you guys are up to date with all the information, right? So that's why you have that dedicated account manager as a resource there. They essentially will be up to date, guiding you guys with the ever-changing Microsoft, ecosystem. They basically change something every 2 weeks now, and we want to make sure that we guide you guys in the right direction. So a lot of times we've seen on my team as well, that our customer would come with us, come up to us and bring up a stack of licensing, such as an E5 or maybe an E3, and a lot of those features they're not fully utilizing, right? So that's kind of where we come in, tell you guys like, hey, are you guys using Intune? Are you guys using Enter ID? You guys know you have an EDR within your licensing. A lot of times we hear no, right? So that's where we really want to help you guys optimize the use of your licenses and make that spending more valuable to your IT budget environment.
Amazing. I love it. I feel like the message here is don't ever settle, which you never should. There's always better out there. Awesome. Also on the side note, sorry, the link was incorrect for the webinar. So if you guys did click that, that should be correct now. That's my bad. All right. We've got a great question from Vince. He says, small IT department of 2, now reduced to 1. Would it be worth a conversation with Trusted Tech Team to see if we can start with the yearly spend in mind, then break out what makes sense to rely on TTT for, i.e. replacing some of the tasks the other IT staffers used to perform?
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how many conversations I get into on a daily where, especially in today's economic time and kind of the I would say the pattern we're seeing across the board for most organizations is cost consolidation, personnel reductions. You're seeing rifts across big, like all the big different marketing and verticals out there. So realistically, looking about how your IT budget is provisioned up, how it is utilized, what products you're utilizing is in terms of like, are you getting best price in licensing first and foremost? Are you also, making sure that you're setting yourself up to scale efficiently? We're starting to see like you don't need, big, different pods of different teams for infrastructure, security, and things of that nature. A lot of the stuff can be locked down to software as a service or infrastructure that you built, business automation and processes. You're seeing data practices get spun up overnight, AI getting layered right on top of them. So it is really truly a new age of information where people are trying to figure out like what are the ways they can evolve, they can cut costs, and also still retain the same level of quality of service. So come talk to me or talk to your AM, and they'll get you looped in with my team, and we'll really, really understand like what services can be replaced either by like pay a consolidation, or maybe setting up some really good automation and process, or if you truly do need a retainer, like you need a fixed hours of a person kind of making those changes within your environment, you can get that replaced. So that is like you have everywhere in between. We're always going to recommend we do the best possible solution that costs you the minimal amount of investment that provides the most return on investment. So I want you to pretty much come away as heroes, as IT leaders, and bring it to your executive leadership to pretty much say, hey, look, I can do XYZ thing, and we've consolidated this person. I now am able to provision laptops, 4 times faster. I'm now able to, I don't need a 100%, security person all the time, things of that nature. So definitely come conversate with us. We can have those conversations.
Amazing. And I saw Daryl's comment. He just signed with us for commercial support during the webinar. That's amazing, Daryl. We're going to take such good care of you. Thank you for trusting us. That's really exciting. Awesome. All right. Another thing that I feel like you guys hear a lot is how important is it to have escalation paths backed by Microsoft? I feel like we've kind of talked about this throughout the webinar.
I'd like to speak on this one. I think it's extremely important. I think having that Microsoft certified team, again, where certified across all 6 solutions partner designations, that's all a partner can get. The gold and silver partnerships have been retired. To have this certified partner and also to have this first party escalation to Microsoft in the case that something is a bug. You wouldn't believe how many times that we have to take a case to the product group, get it the priority, get it the emphasis that it needs. You would think Microsoft would be on top of the bugs before you ever interact with them. And we really don't see that. We see shortcomings in new product launches, new licenses that haven't taken effect, even though they're in your tenant. Well, it's a new license. You escalate it to Microsoft, and you'll eventually get an engineer to admit, yes, that license is in your tenant, but the features aren't there yet. It doesn't work yet. And sometimes that can be a process going back and forth with the product team, with the support teams, making sure that bug, once identified, is addressed in a timely manner, but it is something that's very important. And with your non-partner alternatives, they do not have access to any of those Microsoft resources that can actually implement a fix in Microsoft's backend. And that's the important distinction here. Not just the advocacy, not just the in-house capabilities of Trusted Tech Team, but that partnered support that can bring a true bug or vulnerability to Microsoft for resolution is a benefit that really can't be understated. So it's something that we use all the time. We work with the product group. We're going to work with some of these same product group teams. And especially if you like to work on new features that are in either a preview or just new general availability, you're going to want to have that first party escalation.
Yeah, I mean it's very too often that we get we get people that just don't have that partnership with Microsoft, or they just get a sour taste from that in the engagement. So either they're going direct, they submit a ticket, takes days to get a response, maybe depending on the severity, but with like the dedicated account management and then the dedicated support, Will's team just stays on top of it, making sure that it's escalated to with the proper channels.
Awesome. That was great. Okay, with 1 minute left, I want to thank everybody who came and joined our webinar. It was really fun talking to you guys. Thank you for the engagement. That's my favorite part of doing webinars. So love you guys. Thank you so much. If you guys have any questions unanswered, John is your guy, AMs are your guys and girls, of course. So please reach out to them, reach out to us. We can help you. I want to say a huge thank you to our panelists today. They were awesome. John, Nico, Will, thank you for sharing your expertise. Thank you to Jason as well in the chat who's been answering all the questions. And yeah, again, if you're looking for any help with Microsoft support, click that link on the left. If you want to hear more about our professional services, click that link on the right. And yeah, look out for the follow-up email with the recording. Thank you guys so much. It's been great.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.